over Facebook, because that was a real problem last week. Thanks so much. Can you add 3 minutes? Okay. Okay, and I'm up on Facebook. Mrs. Walton, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Mrs. Walton, can you hear me? Okay, very good. Okay. Okay, because that was, a problem last week for us. Okay. Can you hear us on Facebook? Okay. Just keep talking, Mrs. Walton. Thank you. It was wonderful. And how was yours? Okay, hold on. We'll have her keep on talking because I need to go back here to, I'm going to have to switch settings. Let me see how this. Keep
Yeah,
talking.
I just hear static. I just hear static when every time she talks.
Okay, let's have her talk.
Another federal judge's
Because I'll just keep switching until she can hear her. Until we can hear her.
not to make any changes that
Mrs. Morris, can we hear you? Mrs. Walton?
17 states
Yes,
were lost
yes,
under
yes. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is the day that the Lord has made, and we shall.
Okay, I can hear her on Facebook.
Okay, I switched settings. Okay, great.
We can hear. Everything's good now.
Great, thank you.
China have been eyeing Taiwan.
All right, thank you so much. So I just did that.
Visited the United States. An avalanche
Okay.
Sunday in the French Alps has killed 6 people southwest of Chamonix. One person sent to the hospital. This is AP News.
All right, just give me one moment.
Britain's King Charles has been making his coronation plans. The AP's Charles de Ledesma.
Okay, that's good. All right, so let me do that.
Duchess, Buckingham Palace says, however, the lower key ceremony on May 6th will still be steeped in ancient traditions and adorned with the royal regalia from the crown jewel.
Okay, so everyone, I hope that you all can hear us this morning. Hey, Janet. Hey, Andre. Hey, Jewel. Hey, Carol, you are up early with us out in L.A. every day. Bless your heart.
1.3 mile route is a bit shorter than
That says a lot about you, Miss Santita.
Oh, you know what? It says so much about her. Let me tell you what my sister did. When I first Christmas we were together, she kept reaching out to me. You know what? I need your address. I need your address. I was like, okay, let me send it to you. And she wanted to make sure that she sent my Jewish sister sent me a Christmas card. I'll never ever forget that. Just so kind. Just so kind. And I appreciate that. Because look, everybody, we're all looking for a path to God, okay?
From the Weatherology Weather
Yeah.
Center.
And I embrace and respect.
Partly cloudy
We all
skies
come from
today.
different
Daytime
traditions,
highs
but generally they all
southwest
lead to one
7,
place.
southwest winds 8 to 15 miles per hour.
And I love it,
Low
love it,
of
love it.
49 tonight.
And I love you, Pam Morris Walton. How are you today?
I love you, baby. I'm good. I am so good.
Well, I'm looking forward to lunch very soon.
Again, high of 70
We'll do it. You let me know. You give me a couple of dates, and I'm with you.
Okay, sometime over the next week, because I'm going to be leaving town a lot this month, for the rest of the month. I'm out of here.
Okay. Okay.
Of trusted,
I
relevant
like the way you said it. I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. I am out. Your girl is out of here.
A new report shows
Yes, yes,
in
yes.
Kelly has a history of defending programs deemed unconstitutional. Much like in the year 2000,
And that is, they're getting later and later and later.
religious standards.
That's interesting.
Wisconsin's Attorney General refused to defend the position, which was ultimately ruled unconstitutional by the Western District Court of Wisconsin. Next,
Okay, did you give me a couple of minutes? Could you give me a couple of minutes?
Will fill the state's Supreme Court seat next term.
Yeah, you wanted 3 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Circuit Court.
Okay, got it.
Thank you so much.
April 4th. Find out more at Wisconsin Independent.
Don't mind. Even if it's just two, I just wanted to.
Okay.
Okay.
This is John Daniel, President and Business Manager of the Sheet Metal Workers of Smart Local 265. Workers across Illinois shared a victory last November when the Workers' Rights Amendment passed. There are some who believe that this was for the sole benefit of unions. Although unions brought it to the table, we did it for the benefit of all workers across our state. If you work at a coffee shop, a sheet metal shop, or a corporate office, all workers deserve a safe and respectful workplace, a fair living wage to raise their families, affordable and expansive health insurance to protect their families, and a dignified retirement at the end of their working career. Unions.
All right, I had 2 minutes so far. If you need another one, just let me know.
No, we're
This
good.
amendment
We're
blocks
good.
anti-worker
Okay.
legislation
Thank
that
you.
continues to negatively impact families across
And
many
just
other
let me
states.
know as soon as you can if you are able to reach.
There's a lot of buzz when this amendment
who is it?
up for a vote, but I believe the real buzz should be
Dr.
now. Let's celebrate
Dr.
Dr.
Knighton.
Knighton?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Because then, because I'll roll on into something else.
65.
for sure.
Okay?
Chicago's
Thank you so
Progressive
much.
Talk, WCPT
You're welcome.
820, where facts matter. Think Theory Radio.
Manipulating the masses is more utilizing propaganda, gaining a wide quadrant of the public, where crowd manipulation is more focused, like the divisionary tactics of these political parties. They utilize certain talking points and phrases to target specific groups that they want to maneuver and empower and get them to do their bidding.
Think Theory Radio with Damian Perdue. Saturdays at 6 p.m. on WCPT 820.
I'm Dr. Anthony Lazarus, and this is Climate Connections. Brief power outages are often just an inconvenience, but longer ones can be disastrous. Sari Kayali is with Green Roots, a nonprofit based in the small city of Chelsea, Massachusetts.
There's a lot of folks in Chelsea, my family in, say, like Puerto Rico, who have seen the effects that losing power for an extended period of time can have there.
So to help avoid a similar situation in Chelsea, Kayali's group is working with the city to develop a microgrid system that will power emergency services and
Great.
they're starting by installing solar panels and battery storage at the police station, city hall, and 911 call center. And they plan to add more buildings in future phases.
Each building is its own island, and so say the power goes out to that area, each building would have its own battery on site with its own solar and have its own source of backup.
Kayali says the system will not just be helpful in an emergency. At any time, buildings can disconnect from the main grid.
30 seconds.
Okay, thank you.
For example, when energy demand is high and grid electricity is at its most expensive. So Kayali says the system will save Chelsea money and make it more resilient in a disaster. Climate Connections is
10 seconds.
Okay, great. Okay, all right, everybody, let's have a great show. Let the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen.
We can change the world, change the world, change the world. We can change the world, we can change the world, change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love, it's not too late. Gotta save the children, we can't wait. Let's change the world.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Santita Jackson Show. I hope you had a marvelous Resurrection Sunday. It is April 10th, 2023, Monday, everybody. Rise and shine and give God your glory. I'm Santita Jackson. It's a joy to be with you today. We're going to be talking about this really more is getting harder and harder for women to have full control of our reproductive rights. More than half of the terminated pregnancies in this country are not done surgically. They're done by a pill. And now you have a judge who has outlawed it, and so the Biden administration now is engaged in a fight to keep that pill available to women. So what do you think about that? Let's talk about this. I mean, what about women and our reproductive rights? I've said to you often, you know, I have my own personal feelings, but I don't make my personal feelings public policy. I believe that people should have the choice. And I don't believe in judging people because we all come to life from a whole lot of different perspectives. And shutting these doors down for people, particularly when affluent women, will always be able to have a safe pathway to the termination of a pregnancy. That's just how it works. But should not middle class and poor women should they not have the same option? Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about this, everybody. What's going to happen here? And then, of course, what is happening in Tennessee? I think we need to pay a lot of attention to what's happening in Tennessee because with this Tennessee 3, with these 2 lawmakers, 2 out of 3 who were expelled, that is now their constituents have no representation at the state capitol. What does that mean? And now in Wisconsin, there is a bill that could pass that would, if the same thing happened in Wisconsin, the persons who are expelled would not be able to be reseated again. They would never be able to hold that office again. What do you think about that? We're going to be talking with Wisconsin State Senator Lena Taylor about that. And mind you, people have done all kinds of cruel, outrageous things in the well of the Tennessee State House. They've been Klansmen. They've urinated on the floor, on the tables, on the chairs. They were not expelled. That's right. So what are the standards here? And we need to start talking about standards because, please, there's no code of ethics that even guides the U.S. Supreme Court. So they're able to do whatever it is that they want to do while they're setting laws and reinforcing laws that restrict us or that govern how we're supposed to behave, but there is nothing governing their behavior. I want you to call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. I want to remind you that we are going to have the Rainbow Push International Conference. We'll be talking about these issues and so many more. And I'm going to celebrate my birthday there, too. Cha-cha. Everybody, July 15th through the 19th. You have got to go on and get registered. I want you to come to the convention. I mean, wherever you are, it's going to be an incredible conference, and you will make it. You'll make it the conference that it's supposed to be. We will be talking about getting registered to vote, voter restrictions. Indeed, we had voter suppression in Chicago during this election, that was really particularly focused on the Latino community. And we got to talk about that, everybody. We've got a lot of issues to deal with. So call me today. What's on your mind? What is the issue? What is the story that really sticks out this morning for you? 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. Want to talk with you this morning in Chicago. I think the spring is just about here. 67 degrees will be our high. Partly cloudy. In Minneapolis, St. Paul, mostly sunny, 69 degrees. The NBA season is ending. But boy, the Timberwolves got into a fight amongst themselves, everybody. Now, they won the game 113-108 over the Pelicans, but Rudy Gobert punched out his teammate, Kyle Anderson, and then was sent home mid-game. What's going on, Timberwolves? Oh, my goodness, bless your hearts. Come on, let's pull it together, because, I mean, you're going to the playoffs, guys. Come on. The Bulls 103, the Pistons 81, and the Wild will be facing Chicago today. Indeed, there is a lot going on in Tennessee as we look at some of these headlines. The expelled, we're finding that Justin Pearson, the expelled Tennessee representative, he says the GOP is threatening to cut local funding if he is reinstated. They're threatening to cut local funding if he's reinstated. AOC is warning of a national abortion ban if the Supreme Court upholds this abortion pill ruling. Absolutely insane. Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, seeks a pardon for the man convicted of murdering a Black Lives Matter protester. You cannot make this stuff up. It is your duty. Democratic lawmakers are urging Chief Justice Roberts to probe Clarence Thomas and his secret trips paid for by a multi-billionaire. Call me at 773-763-9278. Let me know what some of your top stories are. What are the things that are really concerning you this morning? 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. What about Justin Pearson? The people see, because his county commission has the power to vote him back into office right now, or they have the power to declare a special election right now. But when the GOP is squeezing you, and they're the majority of the legislature, and they're saying, we're not going to give you local funding if you put this guy back in, what does that mean? What happens in Wisconsin if legislators are expelled and and it's against the law for them to go back? What's going on, America? 773-763-9278. I want you to meet my morning stars over here on WCPT 820, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station, and AM 950 radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota, and meet the morning stars on the Santita Jackson and Friends page. That is my Facebook page, everybody. Santita Jackson and Friends. Thank you for meeting me over there, and everyone who's trying to be my friend. And I want you to be my friend, but I need all of you to go to Santita Jackson and Friends. I cannot take any more friends over there. In fact, they're flushing friends out. I'm not doing it. Facebook is on the Santita Jackson page. That's just a landing page. But the page that is active is Santita Jackson and Friends. Everybody, please go there and go to Twitter at Santita J. I want you to become my friends over on Twitter at Santita J. Andre, Janet, Jewel, Carol, everybody, join me on Twitter at Santita J. And, of course, the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. Facebook, because I'm getting so much traffic, reached out to me and they said, please encourage your listeners to go over to your YouTube channel. So please, go from Facebook to the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. I'm always so happy to have this great woman of God with us every Monday morning that we can catch her, of course. Of course, the great Pamela Morris. I want to get the name of your book right, 57 Days Waiting for a New Heart, but give me the full name, because it gives you the full meaning of because she is a heart transplant recipient, everybody. Now, one would never know it, but it lets you know the importance of getting these transplants and being donors. I mean, one would never know. One would never know. When I saw you just after you had it, I was concerned because I didn't know. And then your husband told me, because remember, we were on the plane together, but we were at the last gate at Midway, and you were determined to get down to the baggage claim, and he just took, I love Mr. Walton, he just took his time with his wife, and he said, just pray for us. I said, I'm going to do that. And look at you now.
Yeah.
She is a road runner, everybody.
That is good.
Love you.
Santita, good morning. It's 57 days. The wait for a new heart sparks a spiritual journey of faith and love.
Amen.
That's the subtitle.
Amen.
The wait for a new heart sparks a spiritual journey of faith and love.
It is that. Well, give us the good news today, because we do need it after this Resurrection Sunday.
Here it is, and it was. Thank God he got up. Thank God he got up.
And didn't get down from the cross.
Thank you, Lord. The good news today is you are more than meets the eye. You are more than meets the eye. Your spirit is housed in a physical body. Acknowledging and honoring and tapping into this unified power helps you. You live without judging. You give up struggling and joyfully surrender to the divine. For the whole person to be healthy, the mind needs to be developed and free of any toxic thought. The body has to be nurtured and strengthened. If words of negativity, hatred, or hopelessness are spoken from the mental body, it can affect the physical body. And I want to say it again. If words of negativity, hatred, or hopelessness are spoken, if you speak these words from the mental body, It can affect the physical body. You are walking, talking, and thinking electromagnetic force of energy. You can attract, create, speak, repel, or promote conditions in your life. That's what you can do. You can attract, create, speak, or repel and promote conditions in your life. You can abuse, diffuse, misuse your personal powers, or just use your personal powers in the great way. You are more than your looks. You're more than your status. And you're so much more than your age. You are what you think mentally you are. You are what you believe. Be spiritual. And remember, you are more than meets the eye. Good morning, everybody. That's it.
That's a lot.
That's it. You are more. You are more than what meets the eye.
That's a lot. I love that. I love that. I love that. I know, because there was much more to me that met the eye. And people treat me very differently now. And there's a whole lot to that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know me. You knew me when I was 200 plus pounds heavier than I am now. And, you know, it's just, you don't know someone's story. And that's one thing that I will say all the time. You don't know someone's story. So when you say that something sounds crazy, something looks crazy, no, you don't have all the pieces. You know.
You don't know the story. You don't know.
You don't know the story. See, I was
what do you think? What are you thinking? It's what you think. It's not. You don't know.
No, you don't.
You don't know. You don't even know the person. You don't know them.
You don't know. See, I'm into math.
Meets the eye.
That's right.
Okay, I'm finished.
No, I'm in the math. And when you plug in all of these different integers into an equation, there's an equal sign. And I had a teacher in college, a professor in college, Dr. Sashere. I'll never forget him. Oh, he was a big boy. He was a lot. He was a very difficult instructor, but he was great. And you had to do, if you missed a comma, because he was fond of written definitions, he would grade you down, because he said a misplaced comma or semicolon, that changes the definition, and he was right. But what he would also do is you had to go through every single step, solving the equation, every single step.
Every single step.
He said,
miss anything.
He said, I got to catch the flaw in your thinking. I got to catch it.
Wow.
And that's it. You are more than meets the eye.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yes, you are more. You are more.
And the name of your book and how we can get it.
57 Days, The Wait for a New Heart sparks a spiritual journey of faith and love. It's available on iTunes. It's an ebook. It is available on Amazon. You can order it on Barnes & Noble. Or you can get an autographed copy on PamMorrisSpeaks.com.
All right.
That's it.
That's it. And now you got to make an audio book. Use that beautiful voice and make it an audio book. There you go.
Oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet.
That's right.
Thank you, Santita.
I love
Have
you.
a great program, because you got some incredible topics. Incredible topics.
Got a lot to talk about today.
I love you too.
I love you. I love you. Pam Morris-Walton, everybody, our gospel sister. Indeed, we've got Dr. Shanina Knighton, infection preventionist, registered nurse, college lecturer. She does so much. There's so much that is in the news today. I think that many of us, this is an unexpected question today, and you can shift to something else if you'd like, Dr. Knighton. I mean, I know you're not a gynecologist, but you are a registered nurse. And one of the concerns for women in our reproductive rights has been having access to procedures that are done in a healthful way so that we don't get sick or die. And, of course, the termination of pregnancies are a real issue. Really, the successful completion of a pregnancy. I mean, pregnancy, that's a real issue, because our maternal mortality rate in America is the worst in the Western world for everybody. But for black women, it is compounded many times. It's just, we're dying having our children, and we're dying as we're trying to make these decisions about our reproductive rights. I did not know until relatively recently that most pregnancies now are not ended surgically. They're ended, they're terminated with a pill. When did that begin to happen, and is that safer? I mean, how does that work, Dr. Knighton?
In full transparency, Santita, I do not know when it started. And when it comes down to the actual outcomes of it, that also wouldn't be in my wheelhouse as well. Of course, I want to say it might have been, it's been years, since the morning after pill, those sorts of things have come out. To be preventative with terminating, let's say, a pregnancy. But you would assume, just like with anything, that enough testing and things have been done in order for them to be classified as being safe for women. So when it comes to the actual statistics around it, if it is impacting youth, if people are, like, let's say, potentially taking them maybe when outside of that window, so maybe a pregnancy is too far along and maybe there's unintended consequences, is completely not my wheelhouse whatsoever, because I don't operate in that space.
Well, I'm not asking you about the numbers as much as I guess really I'm finding out how things are done safely. Because I'm sure as a nurse, as, physicians, because you all are just at the top of the food chain in the healthcare space, a lot of people have tried to terminate pregnancies in ways that have rendered them sterile, if not have outright killed them. And I guess, I'm just really concerned about women and our safety now, more than anything. That's what's unsettling about this moment. When your back is against the wall, desperate people resort to desperate measures. They do. So what do you, is there a safer form of birth control? I mean, is birth control safer than it's ever been? Is it more effective than it's ever been?
So that's the thing, Santita. Like, to be honest, there's so many different forms of it. We know it impacts hormones. Everybody's body reacts differently to things, meaning I know individuals that do, let's say, the shot. There's individuals that struggle with, let's say, the intrauterine devices, that also would hold off, someone from being able to get pregnant. So it really does come down to an individual. It's an individual choice. However, the issue that remains is that depending on insurance and depending on access, someone may not have access to what it is that they truly need. So, for example, if a birth control or something is only approved by a certain insurance, that may not necessarily be the right candidate for that particular woman. However, it may be the only thing that they have access to, which can sometimes yield unintended consequences. And so we do know that, yes, there are side effects of drugs, there are side effects of treatments, and unfortunately our healthcare system does not take into account that some women are put at risk. And unfortunately, it's sad that something bad has to happen in order for someone to acknowledge that something is not good for someone. And I think that that's the bigger challenge that we're looking at here is, and it's the same thing, we hygiene poverty, that yes, it's not about somebody just not having access to soap, but what if there's certain soaps or certain chemicals in soaps that are harming someone's skin and causing them to break out in rashes? In this instance, for birth control, someone may have an increased risk of blood clots or, clots in their legs, like things happen, but yet and still they don't have access to what it is they really need in order for them to be safe. And so I think that it is a compounded issue that is understated. It has not just come up just now. It's just that when we're looking at legislation that is really trying to decide for people what to do, it's not taking into account these other issues of equity as well as what it is that people truly need.
Well, thank you for that, because I didn't even know that your health insurance could govern the kind of birth control that you get. I mean, it really is very complex, and it really doesn't have to be everybody. It doesn't have to be. This is, a woman's gynecological health is really part of her overall health, and that you find that out when you become a woman, if you will, at the start of your menses. Every 28 days you're looking, even as a child, because if you do not, if your gynecological system is off, chances are something else is off with women. So this is really about a woman's health. Dr. Shanina Knighton, everybody. Hey, Dr. Nina, Heydrnina, Heydrnina, at Hey, Dr. Nina. Let's talk about the abortion pill and the fact that there's now a fight over it. What's going to happen? More than half of the terminated pregnancies are prompted by this pill. What do you think about that? Call me at 773-763-9278. Hey, Jewel. Hey, Carol out there in California, out there in L.A. Sending you all so much love. Andre and Janet Sherwood Sussman sending you all so much love. Want you to come over to the Rainbow Push International Conference, July 15th through the 19th. It is going to be a really, really fantastic conference, and you will make it so. Remember, we're going into 2024. 2024, it's already here, everybody. At the end of the year, we're going to be moving into primaries. Can you believe it? I can't. Back with more of the Santita Jackson Show in just a few minutes. Dr. Knighton, I don't want to give you anything that you're not into, so if you would just send me a text about what it is that you'd like to talk about, that would be great. But I'm looking at these issues that are coming up in the news, because I've got to follow those, and that's such a big, big issue. So I'm not trying to stump you. You know that.
No, not at all. I mean, the thing is that our audience will always get Santita. It's honesty,
Absolutely, and I love that.
Like I understand, the reach, and there's just going to always be some things, that we know more about than others, but it just comes down, hey, you know what you know, and if you don't know it, you can voice it, what you don't know. And naturally, these are, issues that touch all women. But when it comes down to that particular space, that's not the care population that I cared for. So I just have my lived experience,
Mm-hmm.
And I think even more, so when you bring up issues, we talked about not too long ago, the lawsuits, the hair relaxer harm, and the fact that in itself has a direct impact on women's, specifically black women, on their reproductive system, leading to, uterine cancer, issues with endometriosis, fibroids, so many other things. It's so sad that a hair relaxer directly impacts that system,
I want to talk about that, because I've heard one or two beauticians who've said, no, that's not true. I'm like, no, I'm hearing that is true. And
and the irony of it is, though, Santita, it's the whole population of people that's out here. When I'm saying population, speaking of, our beauticians, that having that information then brings up, let's say, I would say an ethical issue in a way. Because it's like to know and not to do is not to know. But the minute that you do know, how are you acting upon that? And let's be honest, we call it creamy crack, right? Because of the impact that it can have with being able to straighten hair. And so if for somebody for a lot of years, this is their way of being able to manage their beauty, because we know how we feel about our hair,
mm-hmm.
That's probably something very challenging to have to deal with that they're not ready to just yet. So I think that there's conversations from both sides, but I think the problem is when we don't want to acknowledge science because it doesn't fit into our lives the way we want it to. And I can see that that's why some hairdressers would want to deny it. But you talk about a sample size of 11,000 women, it's like, what more evidence do you need?
Well, it just stands to reason, to my way of thinking, that, if you're putting it on the scalp and the scalp is porous, hello?
Sending Chaparral, Senator Turner, Attorney Hoffler, Attorney Patillo, and Attorney Jones through.
Okay. Okay, Sue, who do we have here? We have State Senator Taylor?
Chaparral, Senator Taylor, Attorney. Oh,
Okay, I'm sorry. Who do we have? I'm sorry, Devin. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
it's all good. We have Chaparral, Senator Taylor, Attorney Hoffler, Attorney Patillo, and Attorney Jones.
Fantastic. Good morning, everyone.
60 seconds, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. CK, let me know when I can call you today. And we have, of course, Dr. Knighton, are you still there?
Yes, we're still here.
Oh, okay, very good. Someone, please, talk to her today, because we got something we got to resolve for her immediately. Immediately. Oh. So, okay. All right. Okay. All right, okay.
10 seconds, everyone.
Stand by, everybody.
We can change the world, change the world, change the world. Yes, we can. We can change the world, we can change the world, change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love, it's not too late. Gotta save the children, we can't wait. Let's change the world.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Santita Jackson Show. Hey everybody, get ready for the Rainbow Push International Conference, July 15th through the 19th. Everybody on this call is going to be there, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Remember, at the end of this year, we are moving into the primary season. Yes, it has been just about 4 years. We are going to elect a new president, vice president, Senate, House, State Senate, county officials, judges, local officials. The election season is on and cracking, and if you don't think your vote is important, watch what's happening in Tennessee. We're going to be talking about that at the top of the hour, and watch what's happening, what they're trying to pull in Wisconsin. That's directly related to this. We've got to talk about that. But now we have to talk about women and our reproductive rights. The so-called abortion pill is in the middle of a tug of war, everybody. Federal judges in 2 states issued contradictory decisions on Friday that could drastically impact whether they're used or not. In Texas, a U.S. district judge ruled that the FDA improperly approved the pill. Within hours of that decision, U.S. District Judge Thomas Rice issued a ruling in a separate case in Washington state. The lawsuit, filed by a coalition of Democratic attorneys in 17 states and D.C., sought to block the FDA from pulling the drug from the market. So there is a big fight over this. But before we get into that, with Attorney C.K. Hoffler, Attorney Darrell Jones, State Senator from Wisconsin, Lena Taylor, and Robert Patillo, Attorney Robert Patillo, let's talk to Chaparral Wells. I know you had a great day. I should have gotten my order in for my little victuals for the holiday. But what's going on, Chaparral?
Good morning, Santita. And yes, we did have a fabulous Easter. And now we're moving right into prom season. And so we have one more slot available for April. And we're still taking May prom orders as well as also a few June and graduation. So give us a call back at 708-526-4546. 708-526-4546. We do your yard signs, your custom arches, your balloon arches, as well as also your custom banners, your sweet tables, and your food. Don't hesitate to give us a call, 708-526-4546, 708-526-4546. We look forward to serving you. Thank you so much, Santita.
Blessings to you. Hey, everybody. Let's talk about these contradictory rulings. Will the abortion pill, and more than half of the terminated pregnancies are terminated not surgically, but by use of this pill. We just heard from Dr. Shanita Knighton, just in the wave of the morning after pill and on. Science advances. And so we want to know what your thoughts are about this. What about the fact that more than half of the pregnancies in America that are terminated not surgically? No, they're terminated by pill. And now the fight is on as to whether this will be allowed. Yes or no? We've got Attorney Darrell Jones, chairman of the Transformative Justice Coalition, fresh off of his radio show on WAOK, everybody. And of course, from Rainbow Push in Atlanta, we have got Attorney Robert Patillo, and of course, Attorney Darrell Jones and Attorney Barbara Arnweiner on WOL every Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, and every Tuesday at 10 a.m. I think it is. That's right. Is it, or is it 11 CK on WAOK? I'm trying, because you're on MSNBC. Okay, she's at 11, and she's on Court TV, and she is everywhere, and we love it, love it, love it, love it. Of course, she's the chair of the Rainbow Push Coalition as well, and the past president of the National Bar Association. I've run out of breath, CK. But let's start this with brilliant state legislator and lawyer, Wisconsin State Senator Lena Taylor. What do you make of these contradictory rulings? I mean, and you can speak to this as a lawyer as well. What is going on? To take the pill, not to take the pill? Is it allowed? Is it not allowed? And I don't see doctors making this decision.
I think the real issue is you can have different opinions, arguably of the law from different judges, and who appoints them, I don't. I know it shouldn't matter, but it often does matter. In the end, I think the real issue here is that we're going to have to accept that we are not having the same rights that we had a year ago, for women. And we're going to have to make sure that we are pressing the issue all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. But I'm here to say I don't even think that they're going to rule in our favor. The fact that President Obama did not get to appoint the number of individuals to the U.S. Supreme Court that he should have, and that Trump was able to, I don't know, but it is annoying to me to be able to have these decisions come down the way that they are. We are in Wisconsin under a law that was made 172 years ago, that abortion now is not legal, not even for rape, incest.
Well, no, say that one more time. What?
Abortion is not legal now because we are under a law that was from 172 years ago that basically says that abortion is not legal, even in the case of the health or harm to the mother, rape, or incest. So there are no exceptions. So the decisions are really being made, and this is a judge discretion concept. And, I wish I could say that all judges rule the same, all judges interpret the same. They do not. And that is the challenge that we are dealing with here. I think that it is horrible that women are having to feel like a ping pong ball on, being able to make choices on what is right for them. And, one of the things I think about is they are, make these decisions about birth control pills even being, eligible through insurance or whatever versus Viagra, for example. And now we're dealing with these issues of whether or not something that was approved by FDA, whether or not it can be accessible. And state by state, this is why these arguments that they make on states' rights can become so dangerous. So now state by state, you're going to have to determine whether or not you can or you do or do not have these rights. I do not agree with the concept of not allowing women to be able to have a right to choose what to do with their bodies. I adamantly disagree with that. And so I adamantly disagree with any interpretation that says such is okay.
So with these conflicting decisions, what do you think is going to happen? Does this go to the Supreme Court?
I think it ultimately is, in the end, will find its way all the way back to the U.S. Supreme Court. I really believe that. The problem is I'm really unclear on how they will rule, because I do believe that it matters who has appointed them. And I think we have to continue to fight all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. And ironically, I don't know if they will or will not be able to impeach Clarence Thomas. And so as a result, that may or may not mean that Biden may or may not be able to appoint somebody else to the bench if that happens. In the end, I think this is going to go all the way back to the Supreme Court. I really do.
Attorney C.K. Hoffler, this is insane. I mean, I did not realize. Well, first of all, a lot of doctors are not making these decisions. I mean, these are political decisions that are made about a woman's health. You know, when you are moving into womanhood, let me put it as delicately as I can. You know, if you're blessed enough, you have parents or guardians or grandparents who explain to you what becoming a woman is about, right? And then your mother, your grandmother, someone in your life is looking every 28 days or so to see how you're doing. Because if something doesn't happen every 28 days or however long your cycle is, you know that you might have a health problem, CK. This is not just some academic exercise for women. This is our health, our overall health.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, Santita, this was completely predictable. When the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade and vested in the states the power to determine what women can and cannot do with their bodies in terms of their reproductive rights, this is something that was completely foreseeable. You know, in the world of negligence, we look at, you know, when you do, you know, negligence for a living as a lawyer, you look at foreseeability. That's something that you completely look at, you analyze. This was completely foreseeable because if you put in the hands of the states the right to determine whether abortion is going to be legal and how they define abortion, then this is what happens. So I think even if this does escalate up to the U.S. Supreme Court, there's a strong likelihood that they may deny cert, meaning that they may not hear this issue, because this is something that they have said they have vested this within the power of the states. And that you have states that are choosing to interpret this differently for them means that that's exactly what they ask the states to do, they are doing. That's my concern. And even if they do accept it, if there is a case that would escalate up, because usually when you've got in a federal circuit conflicting laws, the same laws being applied differently, or the same issue being handled differently within states, and there's a conflict directly on point, that is usually the grounds for something to escalate up to the U.S. Supreme Court. But then they determine if they're going to accept the case, and they don't have to accept the case. But in this case, I believe these states are doing exactly what the U.S. Supreme Court told them to do. So I wouldn't see where they would just take this very lightly, because they're going to say, no, this is what we wanted. We wanted the states to do that. And this is a travesty, but completely foreseeable. All of the different forms of contraception that were out there, and this is what when this first happened, I talked about this, were going to be at risk, whether doctors are doing it or not. On a local level, people, like you said, Santita, these are not necessarily doctors making this decision. These are politicians making the decision. But, of course, politicians made the decision in the first place, mostly male politicians, on whether a woman could control her body and as it relates to her reproductive rights. So this is a travesty. It's going to get uglier, but I don't think that the U.S. Supreme Court is going to be the answer, because this court is not going to overturn what they already overturned. So I think that we have to, the advocacy groups are going to work or redouble their efforts within the states. And women are going to have to find draconian or drastic solutions if they can't afford to travel to a jurisdiction, travel to Illinois, for instance, to get an abortion, where abortion is illegal. And then we have to watch this forever, because just because some states now are saying that it's legal and there are fewer and fewer of them, it doesn't mean that in the future those states won't have a different position. So that's why we have to really be very active in the voting process. Watch who we elect. Find out what their politics are on issues that matter to us. And if women's reproductive rights matter to you, imagine in Wisconsin when you're raped. And how about you're raped by a family member and who's living in that household?
You have no protection.
Have that child.
You have no protection at all, CK. None.
None. And that we're going back to what happened during slavery, when the masters raped some of the women. So anyway.
No, you took it right out of my mouth. I mean, you took it right out of my mouth, because this is what it's feeling like. Because black women absolutely had no agency. White women didn't either. But black women absolutely did not. We were routinely raped. Indeed, that is something that pushed Rosa Parks into activism. She was a very fair-skinned black woman. She said, every time I look in the mirror, I see the abuse that my ancestors endured. My father's mother said the same thing. So, I mean, when you hear states' rights attorney Darrell Jones, what do you hear? I mean, I'm like Attorney C.K. Hoffler, and I told you, we met State Senator Lena Taylor running away from a totalitarian, I will just say this, governor that you had, just because Scott Walker was just so extreme, but he was extreme then. Now he's almost like milquetoast, which is what's scary. But when you hear states' rights, what do you hear when you hear the Supreme Court kick things back to the states? Because it does feel like slavery. It does feel like, Civil War talk. The states have the right to do that. I mean, there are no federal protections, Attorney Darrell Jones.
And thank you, Santita, and good morning to everyone on the panel. I always get extremely concerned when I start hearing states' rights. And the reason I get concerned when I start hearing states' rights, because it plays into a plan that we have seen the conservative side of the aisle putting in place for a long time. That is, if they can make the field smaller so that it's easier to control, that then they can implement the tactics, the legislation, the laws, the restrictions that they want to put on place. They have a greater likelihood of winning in a small pool than in the larger pool that is the population of the United States. So when I hear states' rights, I start hearing about indications, and if my reading is correctly, it's the state of Idaho, I believe, that has said that not only are they going to do one of those horrible pieces of legislation that Senator Taylor was talking about in Wisconsin, making access to abortion illegal across the board under any circumstance, but they also want to make it illegal for you to be able to travel to go and have an abortion someplace else. The interstate commerce side of it, they want to stop you from leaving the state to seek an abortion. So when I hear states' rights, that's what I hear is that type of approach that's being taken. And even more, when I hear states' rights, what piques my ears and gets them, in that dog mode, that fight dog mode, is to say the people of that state have got to get out and vote. And they've got to get their voice heard, because the majority of people in the United States do want women to have access to be able to control their own reproductive care. But in order for that to happen in these states' rights types of venue, we've got to have the voters come out and vote legislators in, vote representatives in that are going to support that that position. So when I hear states' rights, all of that is what comes to mind. And and I always go back, Santita, and CK hears me say it all the time. We go back when we talk even with the voting rights. It's the same concept. Is that we've got to have and we should have federal protection that's simply there to wipe it away, so that the slate is clear and that every state treats it the same, and you don't have to wonder what your rights are because you're leaving Maryland to travel to Mississippi or leaving Maryland to go to Idaho to live. I think that the access should be the same across the board, because we as a society, we deserve that. We should not have to be concerned whether or not I'm breaking the law because I've moved and in the state I used to live in, it was legal. In the state I'm in now, it's not legal. No. It should be simply across the board. This is the access. This is the rule. Period. Done. Move on. That's as I see it, Santita.
Well, I thank you for that, Attorney Darrell Jones. Attorney Robert Patillo, I see some intersectionality here. It seems that, when you see one set of rights rolled back, other rights get rolled back too. Now we're moving back to states' rights territory, which is very, very, very dangerous. You have, while you're watching people trying to unionize, you're watching corporations push back against them, and they're doing it with a smiley face because, the owners are progressive and nice. But when we're looking at this particular issue, as Attorney Jones has brought up, now you're dealing with interstate commerce. You're dealing with everything. It seems like everything is on the table right now, Attorney Robert Patillo.
Absolutely. We're not entering a place of states' rights. We've been in a place of states' rights for about a decade and a half currently. And what the opposition has done is very skillfully work over the course of pretty much the time that President Obama came to power to win state and local races, giving themselves constitutional majorities across the country, which allowed them to use the last two redistricting cycles to gerrymander themselves into permanent majorities nationwide, and they've used it to take over state Supreme Courts. We saw this in Wisconsin, where the state legislature there is planning on impeaching the progressive justice that was just elected to the state Supreme Court. We see this in North Carolina, where the Republicans, if they're able to get the constitutional majority of it, said they will override any veto from the governor. We see this in Tennessee, where the constitutional majority there removed the two black legislatures, and we're going to start seeing this increasingly nationwide because they've now entrenched themselves in the national bureaucracy in such a place that they no longer have to worry about the democratic means of social and political change. With regards to this particular ruling, people have to understand, even the pro-life people, how deep and how concerning this should be. We are now taking regulatory actions away from the bodies that actually study them, away from scientists, away from doctors, away from medical professionals, and saying that any federal judge can overrule whether or not medication is legal. So you can have a severely religious conservative judge that doesn't believe in vaccines, and they could outlaw the coronavirus vaccine. And as long as the Trump-led Supreme Court with a 6-3 majority agrees with them, millions of people could die. That's just the reality of the place that we're sitting at right now. You're talking about some of the ethical concerns around stem cells, and when it comes to medical procedures, even if something is passed by the FDA, all it takes is one federal judge somewhere in the country that the Trump-led Supreme Court will back up, and that can be taken off the market immediately, regardless of its effectiveness, regardless of the scientific backing behind it. All it takes is a singular federal judge anywhere in this country to disagree with it. As long as you have that 6-3 MAGA majority on the court, they ostensibly have the power to overrule any of those decisions. And as we know with decisions of this nature, why would it simply be medical regulatory issues that district court judges could overrule? Why not health and safety? Why not OSHA? Why not National Highway Traffic Administration regulations? Why couldn't they overrule that? If you can already overrule for medication, and we can already see where this is going, where we are moving away from a government by elected legislative leaders, and we're moving towards a government with which is governed by appointed judicial nominees, of which Republicans have spent the last 2 decades stacking the court. They always talk about Democrats wanting to, quote-unquote, pack the Supreme Court. They've started packing the federal judiciary 20 years ago. Merrick Garland not getting his seat was them packing the court. And because of this, we're seeing a place where our legislative systems are very unable to work agilely to get things done. We remember Shelby B. Holder was almost a decade ago, and they said, we'll go back and reformulate this and pass some legislation that fits these new standards, and we still see nothing happen. So we're in a very raw place now where the judicial branch is taking up is filling in the power vacuum that's left by a recalcitrant Congress and a crippled executive branch. And because of this, we're seeing more power go to the judiciary, more power be federalized and moved across this country to state and local legislatures and district courts.
State Senator Lena Taylor, I've got 1 minute before we go to break. Just give us a 30,000-foot view. I mean, you are a state legislator and a lawyer. Do you see a pattern here? Do you see this spreading across the country? 1 minute.
I definitely do, and I want us to remember that it's already teed up for a states' rights issue under the budget, under saying that there needs to be a balanced budget. And so they can open that up and deal with whatever issues they want. So this is really a larger issue than we know, but we do know the power of the people can make a difference because the state Supreme Court race that we had in Wisconsin is an example. Women's rights were put on the ballot. Abortion was put on the ballot, and they came out, and we won in double digits, unlike before.
Everybody, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Keep this on your mind. Of course, July 15th through the 19th, we'll be talking about this issue and many, many more at the International Conference of Rainbow Push. Hey, join us on Saturdays at 930 East 50th Street, 10 o'clock. We are having these meetings, these Saturday morning meetings that we've been having for more than 50 years where we talk about the big issues of the day. Last Saturday, we had a tremendous panel talking about the mayoral election. I mean, really breaking it down. And this coming week, we'll be talking about Tennessee, the Tennessee Three. Hopefully, we'll have one or two of the Tennessee Three with us, breaking that down. Indeed, one of the Tennessee Three could go back into office, but the GOP is threatening not to fund his city if he's allowed back in. You can't make this stuff up. Let's bring up Joseph Kiles from Rainbow Push in Memphis to talk to us about what is going on. Of course, he's been working with the Tennessee Three, and we want to hear from you at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. I'm Santita Jackson. Don't touch that dial. Okay, everybody, this is a hot, steaming mess. It's, whew. CK, this is a little bit too much, hon. And just y'all, this is all a lot for me. Just every day, it just seems like there's something new.
I'm just here to say it just shows that again they playing Chinese Go or chess, and we not even playing checkers. I don't know what we playing.
Well, thank you.
No, we're playing pickup sticks. We haven't gotten to.
No, we're going all the way back.
And because you progress the checkers. Yeah, no, I agree. But it was so predictable. This is what a lot of the advocates were saying, that it's not going to stop, because people who were in favor of repealing Roe versus Wade based on their objections to abortion. I always said it's not about that. It's not about whether you're pro-abortion or not. It's about whether you believe a woman should have control over her body. Mm-hmm. That's what it's about. And it's also about privacy rights, because, it starts there and it's going to go to other privacy rights. That's what it's always been about, the erosion of privacy rights. And so this is all very predictable, and it's going to continue. It's going to continue. So the pill, the pill could be in jeopardy. Women taking the pill. I mean, that's
honestly, it also has to do with the browning of America.
Yep.
And wanting to make sure that non-brown women have no babies.
I mean, because, let me tell you, let's be honest here. Affluent women are always going to have access to reproductive rights, to the termination of a pregnancy. That's always going to be true. It's always been true. What worries me is what's going to happen to poor and middle class women, and increasingly, even people who make six figures are living paycheck to paycheck. Okay.
Sending Joseph Kiles and Tedra Smith through. No luck with Dwight McKeel. Try him again in a few minutes. Let you know I get him.
Absolutely. I mean, it's you're watching a complete erosion of the rights. We've got Joseph Kiles up with us from Memphis, Tennessee. Y'all say hello. And of course, Wisconsin State Senator Lena Taylor is with us. Attorney C.K. Hoffler, you got to have him on your show tomorrow, since we're dealing with the Tennessee Three. And then, of course, Attorney Darrell Jones, got to have him on the show tomorrow, dealing with the Tennessee Three. Robert Patillo had him on his show yesterday, dealing with the Tennessee Three. Okay, I've got a lot of nerve programming people's shows.
No, but you know what? Because, of course, that's the topic of my show tomorrow. But, Santita, can you connect us?
I'll do it right now.
We can do that?
Yeah, you know me. I'm always trying to do that. So, and I'm going to connect Lena Taylor in this too. So let me just do this, okay?
Absolutely. I'd love that.
And let me bring all of you together, because that's how we're going to do this. But you all keep talking to each other, because I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do it at the same time. Okay. So I'm connecting Darrell Jones, Robert Patillo. And if I just connect you all by text, you can, well, I'll do this again. Okay. Robert Patillo and Mr. Kyles, good morning.
Good morning, Santita. How are you?
You sound just like Dwayne. He never should have told me that. Because you sure do sound like Dwayne. Oh, my gosh. You know this is Dwayne Kyle's cousin. Unbelievable. I'm like, wow, you sound like Dwayne. Yeah. That's my boy. Boy, we have had some fun. Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Attorney Patillo had a great show yesterday. It's got some very intriguing listeners that have some good questions.
I told you, be prepared. Put on the full arm of God. That's right. He kept me on for 3 hours one day, and I was like, wow, okay. I'm game, I guess. But it's a fantastic show. Fantastic show.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic show, and he's a brilliant host.
I have a question. What are the chances that what is happening with the Black Justice, Clarence Thomas, and the ethical issue to potentially lead to an impeachment and that process happening fast enough for Biden to actually have another appointment?
It's not going to happen.
I don't see it happening either.
I mean, the part of the problem is the Democrats don't play bully ball the way the Republicans do. If that was, Sonia Sotomayor accepting a couple $1 million in free trips, they would have had her up and off the Supreme Court by now. Democrats just don't have that kind of gumption to make it a real issue.
Well, because they're in it. Look, I'm putting it right up. This is just me talking, okay? These people protect the corporatocracy. And they all have they have angles. They have a particular cultural appeal, okay? Because if Democrats really wanted to deal with Clarence Thomas, they could and they would, but they refuse to. Because he upholds a lot of the things that they uphold, and we need to stop playing this game and call them out on it. Because they don't even have a code of ethics governing the behavior of those who are on the Supreme Court. And as a layperson, I know that, and I am disgusted by that. You mean to tell me these people set the rules and they have no rules that they need to follow? Are you for real?
With a lifetime appointment.
What? Who does that? Hello? Y'all still there? Ooh, ooh.
60 seconds, everyone.
Yeah, nothing's going to happen. I mean, nothing's going to happen. We don't even engage in the act of buffoonery. Nothing's going to happen. He's going to be on the U.S. Supreme Court until he's unable to be on the U.S. Supreme Court because of his health issues. And in addition to that, he's not going to get off the U.S. Supreme Court until he fully has reversed affirmative action and stripped everything remotely resembling affirmative action and taken away civil rights. So he's going to be there, but ain't nothing going to happen to Clarence Thomas, unfortunately. I think you have to think that reality. And by the time things are put in place to address, if ever, the U.S. Supreme Court, it will take so long that it will be moved at that point.
10 seconds.
Stand by.
We can change the world, change the world, change the world.
Do we have Tetra?
Yes, we have Tetra.
Okay, great.
Change the world, change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love, it's not too late. Gotta save the children, we can't wait. Let's change the world.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Santita Jackson Show. We got a lot to talk about today. What about the Tennessee Three? They could be reappointed in the blink of an eye, but that's not happening. And we need to understand why it is that 2 of the 3 were expelled. One is still there. What is the hold up there? Because there could be a procedural hold up in getting Justin Pearson back in his seat. What about Justin Jones? What about the GOP efforts to block Justin Pearson from going back in? They're saying, we're not going to fund your locality if you let this guy back in. I mean, how does that work? How is it that these people are not supposed to have representation? What is the nerve? I want you to call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. July 15th through 19th, we've got our international conference, Rainbow Push. You have got to be there. We'll be talking about this issue and so many others. It is hot, hot, hot. It is movement time, and you need to come on and get on the stick, and let's get some things done. We need to know who our judges are. We need to engage in voter education. We need to have education about those who are running for office. You've got to start having town hall meetings in your neighborhoods so you know who represents you and who is adjudicating over you and your children. So everybody, I want you to call me at 773-763-9278. You know what happened in Tennessee can happen anywhere. Can you imagine having your state representative thrown out by somebody who doesn't even know you? Oh, wow. Think about that, everybody. Call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. What do you think about what is happening? What is happening with the Tennessee 3? Yes, the Tennessee 3. Call me at 773-763-WCPT. Let's get some of these headlines out the way. Chicago, 67 degrees, partly cloudy. I think spring's here, y'all. Minneapolis, St. Paul, 69 degrees, mostly sunny. In the NBA, as the season winds down, it seems like the Timberwolves are coming apart at the seams. They had a fight, wait a minute, amongst themselves on the floor yesterday. That's right. Rudy Gobert punched out his teammate, Kyle Anderson. What's the deal? What? The Timberwolves still pulled it out, but what's going on, y'all? Timberwolves 113, 108 Pelicans. Come on. Bulls 103. The Pistons 81. In the NHL, the Wild, Minnesota will be facing off Chicago. That's right. So let's get right to it, everybody. What is happening in the world today? The Department of Justice has opened an investigation into the leaks of a trove of apparent U.S. intelligence documents that were posted on social media in recent weeks. The documents have revealed that the U.S. efforts in spying on Russia, while also exposing the extent of U.S. eavesdropping on key allies. Told you everybody spies on each other, everybody. An imam is in stable condition after being stabbed during a Sunday prayer service during Ramadan season, everybody, at a mosque in Patterson, New Jersey, praying for our Muslim brothers and sisters. A suspect, who was unknown to congregants, was performing prayers at Omar Mosque when he lunged forward with a knife at the imam. After stabbing him multiple times, the suspect attempted to flee, but the congregants were able to bring him down and apprehend him and hold him down until police arrived and arrested him, according to a spokesperson in the CNN report. There were more than 200 congregants at the mosque at that time praying for them. This occurred during their high holy season of Ramadan. Indeed, this is the holiest month in the Muslim calendar. It runs from March 22nd to April 20th. Let us send our love and prayers to our brothers and sisters in the Muslim community. 2 federal court rulings over abortion access are creating a chaotic legal flashpoint that will be closely watched this week. In one case filed by an anti-abortion activist in Texas, or by anti-abortion activists in Texas, because they have the space to do that. A judge said the FDA's approval more than 20 years ago of the abortion pill should be halted, but the court paused its ruling for a week so that it can be appealed. In the second case, where Democratic-led states had sued in Washington state to expand access to abortion pills, a judge ordered the federal government to keep the drug available in the 17 states, plus the District of Columbia. It is officially a mess, everybody. John Rahm won the 2023 Masters Tournament on Sunday at Augusta. He is now wearing the green jacket. Tiger Woods made the cut for the 23rd time, helping to tie a record. This might be, we're kind of winding things down with Tiger, but boy, what a magnificent run this man has made. It's not arguable to me. He is the best who's ever done it. God bless you, Tiger Woods. I am so excited to have this young lady on with me today. She is the head of membership at Rainbow Push. I know she's a little anxious this morning. She said, "Do you really want me on here? I don't know if I really want to be on today." But Tedra, I have to have you on because Tedra is also CK, since she is the chair of our board. She's also a stepper. She loves to party, CK. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do with Tedra, but we love her.
No. You must be multifaceted.
Oh, yes, well, we're multifaceted. That's right, because that's right. I forget, you're a rapper, too. That's right. How could I forget? Rapper's Delight. She always does that for us every holiday and every time we all get together. It's the cutest thing to see CK rapping. I don't know how that works. Let me go to you, Tetra Smith, membership coordinator at Rainbow Push. Now, you're doing something called Paint and Sip. What is that?
Actually, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me on. Yes, what I'm doing is sponsoring this next weekend, April the 22nd at Rainbow Push. We're having a paint and sip. And I wanted to do that for all our volunteers and senior citizens to get them to come out, now that the weather is breaking. And I just didn't want to limit it to the senior citizens. So it's open to anyone who wants to come. It's from 3 to 6. The cost is $50 per person. And on the flyer, you can go to donate at rainbowpush.org, or if you have a Zelle account, you can actually go to your bank and type in donation at rainbowpush.org. And in the memo section, just put Paint and Sip, so that way we'll know that who's making that payment.
Well, what is Paint and Sip? What is that?
Paint and Sip, well, actually, you actually get to come in and paint. And while you paint, get your sip
fun time. That's what it is.
I have a little fun for you.
Wait, it sounds like the state senator might come in. I don't know.
Whosoever will, let them come.
She said a good time. Thank you.
Yes, a good time. And I hope to see you all there.
Oh, man. Well, you'll be back on because you're going to be reminding us. And so we just love you, Tetra Smith. Give us the details one more time.
Once again, it's April the 22nd at Rainbow Push at the headquarters, 930 East 50th Street. It's from 3 to 6 p.m., $50 per person. You go to your Zelle account and type in donation at rainbowpush.org. And your memo, put Paint and Sip.
But now, you're going to do what when you're there?
While we're there, when you come in, you're actually able to go to the other side of the room and pick which painting you want to paint, because they're already printed out.
Okay.
And you go there, you find your spot. As I said, we'll have all that set up. You find your name, you'll have name badges. So, because it's also networking, too, at the same time. And just, come out and have a good time.
So you just...
And you have little snacks as well, too.
And great music, right?
Great music.
Come on now.
I have a young man who's going to try to get me a DJ. So, yes, great music
Okay,
as well.
now remind people, because if it's not great music, I am leaving. I will be crunchy and leave. I'm not wasting any time, kid. The music better be great. It better be pumping.
Definitely.
Thank you, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, because we want everybody to come on.
Have a good one.
Love you, Tetra. Thank you. Everybody, let's talk about what is happening with the Tennessee Three. I've got Joseph Kiles here. Joseph Kiles, talk to me. I mean, because it just seems like, okay, they were expelled. I find out that their county commissioners, at least in one of them, can bring them back on. You can have a special election, but it seems that there's pushback. What's going on, Joseph Kiles?
Thank you so much, Santita, for the sustained effort. As we know, information is power, and so let's provide a little information. As we know, at this point, the City Council for Nashville has already indicated that either today or by Wednesday, they will vote to reappoint Justin Jones. As of last night, the county commission in Shelby County, which is Memphis, Tennessee, District 86, where Justin Pearson represents over 68,000 people who are without representation currently now in the Tennessee General Assembly. So Mikhail Lowry, the chairman of the county commission, has called a special call meeting for this Wednesday to reappoint Justin Pearson to his position as they move forward. But as we speak, these meetings are, particularly for Memphis, is not going to happen until Wednesday. The legislature could do something in the meantime prior to that to prevent these individuals from being reappointed. So we have to keep the pressure and apply the pressure. We have to ready ourselves for a constitutional challenge and a fight. As I talked to Robert Patillo on his show yesterday, talking about having the best civil rights minds and constitutional law minds to come together to push back. So that's where we are right now.
Well, I mean, talk to me, because according to this Common Dreams report, of the Republican-dominated House, said Sunday that GOP lawmakers have threatened county officials with funding cuts in an effort to prevent Justin Pearson from being reseated. What's going on?
That is a threat, and that shot has come across the bow, but it has not intimidated anyone on the county commission. And I think what they're doing, if they have made that known, that they've set themselves up particularly for a legal challenge, and we're going to move forward. So we have every intention from the county commission side, from the chairman, and these are his words and not mine, that they will reappoint Justin Pearson on Wednesday in a special call meeting. And whatever the supermajority does from the state legislature side, we'll have to fight that in court.
Well, you know, we have got, of course, Wisconsin State Senator Lena Taylor with us, of course, the former head of the National Bar Association and chair of Rainbow Push. Of course, she's an analyst on Court TV, MSNBC, and all over the place, host of her own show on WAOK at 11 o'clock every Tuesday. Attorney C.K. Hoffler. We've got attorney Darrell Jones, chairman of the Transformative Justice Coalition, host of his show with attorney Barbara Arnwine at 12 noon on WOL in D.C., that superstation. And, of course, attorney Robert Patillo, whose show you were on WAOK, from the Rainbow Push, Atlanta, the Southeastern Regional office. And, of course, we've got Dwight McKee with us. State Senator Taylor, what is going on? How is it? Because it just seems it's getting very complex. You know, it just seems that, the county commission could reappoint this gentleman back into his office, but now the GOP lawmakers are jumping in and they're like, no, they're threatening them with funding cuts.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, this is something, that has happened in other ways. For example, saying, if you cut the police department, then we're not going to fund you. Or we're going to limit funding, if you defund the police. This is, yet another place that we saw something very similar to this. And right now, in our state, we're literally going to hear a bill this week that provides that in elected office, if someone has been removed or resigned from an elected office at a local level, it says, that was preceding some effort to remove them, and they resigned just before some effort to remove them, that they cannot be reappointed. They cannot regain eligibility to be put back in the position. This is a piece of legislation that started circulating, I want to say, in March 1st in Wisconsin. Now it's going to be heard in committee. Why is that important? Because what they've done to the state legislators in Tennessee, they threatened to do with a prosecutor here in Milwaukee. They also threatened, you heard it mentioned about the Supreme Court justice that just got elected. They threatened to remove her, not from the Supreme Court seat, but from her circuit court seat. They had threatened to remove her or other judges because they don't feel that they've been, quote, unquote, harsh enough. So this is, I think, I have not been able to check, but a playbook out of ALEC probably, because they are preparing ahead of time for this concept of doing removals, and they have threatened that they would do the same thing before the election was even over. So you could be assured that the Tennessee legislators, somebody somewhere, if it ain't already in the ALEC playbook, is telling them about the legislation, for example, that's already in Wisconsin. And although it says local electeds, all they have to do is change that in Tennessee to not just say local elected, they can just say elected. And as a result of that, it could then prevent them from being reseated if they already have a veto-proof authority, like in my house. There's a veto-proof authority, but if they have the majority anyway, and they have a gubernatorial seat, they can do these things and run it right through and change the law by Wednesday.
I mean,
Or they can do what they're doing in Mississippi.
Okay.
What they're doing, oh yeah, they can do in Mississippi. What they're doing is and it's GOP led, is they have the chief judge who, and this is legislation that's going to be passed, where they're going to take away in Jackson, Mississippi, the power of the judges to rule on certain civil and criminal cases, and all the judges happen to be black judges, and they're elected judges, and they're going to send those cases to unelected judges handpicked by the chief judge, who's a staunch Republican. And that's in Mississippi, and it's already happened in Indiana. So this is a real issue, meaning in black communities, you're not going to be able to necessarily impact have judges rule on cases in your community, but in white communities, the judges will be elected and they can rule on cases involving the communities.
I mean, before you go, Joseph Kiles, talk to me, because it seems that these people are very, very prepared to prevent former Representatives Pearson and Jones from going back in. There is a playbook. And I'm wondering, if we really, really understand just how deeply prepared these people are. I mean, the book by David Daley, the New York Times bestseller, Rat Effed, showed us. I mean, we lost more than 1,000 seats during the Obama administration. They said, okay, you can have the presidency, but we're going to take everything else up underneath you. We're going to take the governorships, we're going to take the state legislatures, we're going to take everything. And that is what they have done. My father often says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And these people have been winning because they have been planning and they have not been failing. Unless we have risen up and done something. Right.
I agree. I think I heard Senator Taylor say something last week about what went on in the hallway after the first protest of the Big Three. And as they went through this process before expulsion, the leadership of the House wanted the members to be contrite. They wanted them to apologize. They wanted to hang their heads low and come with their hat in their hands. And they considered if they would do that they would not be expelled. And these young men, I can't speak for the Caucasian representative because I'm not spoken to her, but knowing these young men and knowing the work that they've been doing throughout their community, it was just against their constitution to be contrite about talking about having a conversation. The supermajority did not even want to have a conversation about limiting the amount and the access to high-powered rifles. And so you think about what that means to these individuals and the fact that they stood up, they had courage. But now the challenge really comes into our legal minds and those who've been in the fight for several decades on how to fight legislatures and how to fight these legislative actions. And we've got to get the experts on board as we move forward. Walter Bailey, who is from the Bailey family here in Tennessee, been actively engaged in social and civil rights for more than 6 decades. And he is lending his legal expertise. And we need to call for all of those legal minds to come together so that we can assist and help push back this charge. The last thing that I'll say that most people do recognize right now, when you look at that crowd that was at the State House, it was a very diverse crowd, but it was majority young Caucasian individuals. And what this Republican legislature has been able to do is pull the cover back, and they have energized young voters against them. And we have to really use what we do in Rainbow Push Coalition and what that means to have a sustained effort across the country so that we can do the things that are necessary to have a more perfect union.
So what's next for them immediately? Will they be voted on? Will they be voted back into their seats this week, or what's going on? Are we looking at legal challenges? I mean,
They will be, as far as the Shelby County and our commissioner, they released a press release, and I'll forward that to you when I get off the call, that they plan on Wednesday to have them reappointed. But as Senator Taylor has so eloquently spoke to, we have Monday and Tuesday, and there could be some challenges and some legislative actions that could prevent that. So we just really have to take it step by step.
Well, everybody, I want you to call us at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. Joseph Kiles, can't wait to have you back so that we can talk about this because it's, I think we have to keep the pressure on. Just before you go, what impact do we as the public have by keeping the pressure applied to get these gentlemen their seats back?
Well, being able to connect with individuals around the country who have the ability to work with all and the knowledge to participate is one thing. Also, if there's going to be a legal challenge, we're going to have to put resources together to help to fight this battle. And so we should be, as Rainbow Push Coalition, helping to organize that. And I think through Reverend Jackson, he's invited the Big Three to come to Chicago. I think Bishop Grant is organizing a labor breakfast or union or lunch or something of that nature. But as we move forward, we're going to have to organize, strategize, and put a plan together. And we're going to follow the leadership of Reverend Jackson.
Okay, and and I think Senator Taylor yesterday was saying that they need support. We need to contribute to their campaigns because at this time, this cuts off the food on the table.
All their income.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
So just very quickly.
All their income. And so I mentioned if legislators, minority leader, if anyone can hire them in Tennessee, for that to be considered. But what I will say, Santita brought up when more than a decade ago, we left in Wisconsin to deny quorum of Scott Walker. People gave $14. It was 14 of us. Give $30, give $3. Whatever you give, it's going to be better than nothing. And more importantly, it's going to allow them to continue to be able to speak and to expose this. One of the things I'll say that Reverend Jackson did for us is he gave us an opportunity for the message to be elevated and to be, picked up by media because we had a blackout of media in our state. And so I can't say enough of how important it is for them to continue to elevate, not just that we do need to do something about gun control, or and why do we have to have AR-15s easily accessible in the way that they are to people, and not have other reasonable measures in place. But this is larger than that. This is larger than even that issue, and that's the part I want people really to see. This is about not only freedom of speech, but this is when you come on the floor, there are normally processes. There are sanctions. There are other things that could have been done to go all the way, to expelling them from the floor when they were elected, just like the rest of them. That is a message that is about to happen across the nation, that if we disagree
Absolutely.
or don't like what you say or how you say it, I think of... And
hold that thought because I got to go. I've got a hard out for my break. But stay right there. Stay here with us stay right here on the Santita Jackson and Friends page and on the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. We're continuing this conversation. Back in just a minute. I know Joseph has got a hard out for a meeting, but I wanted you to complete your thought, a state senator.
I just wanted to say it just makes me think of what, black women, what the young girl in the sports situation, Angel, people have double standards. And if they are not liking what is being said, these Justins have been, expelled in Tennessee because they dared to stand and speak and not, quote unquote, stay in their place. These supermajority legislative bodies will do the same across the nation. And again, just like we talked about how it's different and how judges and people are seeing things differently related to women's rights, it's going to be the same thing across the nation. What someone can be expelled for, you can pee on the floor, but you don't get expelled, but you can say some words that they don't like, and now you expelled because you had a bullhorn.
My Lord.
Well, there's that. There's that. There's that.
And Santita, I want to be certain that Brother Carlos knows that Barbara Arnwine and I have been in constant contact, and we're going to be reaching out to you today to talk about what we can do and being activated there. I also have heard from Lenita Baker with the National Bar Association. I believe she's on the ground there today as well for the rally and things that are going on. So, we want to be certain that if you need any of those contacts with Lenita Baker and the National Bar, that, you can activate those attorneys, and they certainly will be in place to provide any assistance. And, of course, Barbara and I will provide any assistance we can as well.
Thank you so much. I'd like to get connected with you all and have Representative G.A. Hardaway. He's leading up that effort on the legal fight, so I'll make sure we connect the dots. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Okay, well, I will connect you all. I can't do everything at once, but I will connect everybody by text shortly.
All right.
Okay? In
Thank
fact,
you,
I'm going to send.
I appreciate you.
Oh, no, I appreciate you more than I can say. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make it a lot easier for myself. How about this? I'm going to send part of my run sheet to y'all. How about that? There you go. We'll send it to everybody. And this is how we will do this. But keep talking. Dwight, I'm so glad you're with us today.
Yeah, what I think we should do is Dr. King had a philosophy to fight fire with water. And, I believe in the democratization of things. And so I think that you all should consider boycotting the Titans. You also consider boycotting those companies which support the Titans, boycotting the basketball team in Memphis, boycotting those teams those companies that support the basketball team, talking about withdrawing funding, state taxes, boycotting state taxes.
60 seconds, everyone.
And Santita, I'm going to have to run.
Okay. Do you need to?
I'm going to have to run.
Okay.
And myself as well, Santita.
Okay. Sending you both my love and thank you so much. Let me know when I can speak with you today.
Okay. I'm traveling later this afternoon, but probably after 6 o'clock this evening.
Okay, I'll call you then.
Okay, all righty.
Daryl, thank you so much.
No, thank you, and we'll talk soon.
Absolutely, please. So, to be clear, I still have, Joseph had to leave, but I've got Dwight, I've got Senator Taylor, and I've got Robert Patillo, right?
Yep, that's the 3 left.
Okay, great.
10 seconds, everybody.
We can change the world, change the world, change the world. We can change the world, we can change the world, change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love, it's not too late. Gotta save the children, we can't wait. Let's change the world.
Let's talk about the Tennessee 3, everybody. Former state representative Justin Pearson, Justin Jones, and present state representative Gloria Johnson, who's still serving in office, but by the hair of her chinny chin chin, she stayed in by 1 vote. Wisconsin State Senator Lena Taylor. Dwight McKee joins us, and of course, Attorney Robert Patillo. And I want you to listen to his show on WAOK from 1 to 4 Eastern Standard Time every Sunday. On WAOK, of course, just leaving us on WAOK every Tuesday at 11 Eastern Standard Time is Attorney C.K. Hoffler. She is on Court TV throughout the week. And then Attorney Daryl Jones, along with Barbara Arnwine, they are on WOL, Superstation out of Washington, D.C., every Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. As Dwight McKee was coming on, State Senator Lena Taylor and Attorney Robert Patillo. Dwight McKee, you said that Dr. King believed in fighting fire with water?
Yeah, with water. He used to say that if the fire didn't go out, you need more water. And so I was saying that they're a little young, that crowd, so I don't think they remember that when Arizona had refused to make King's birthday a holiday, is that people start putting together a national boycott of Arizona. They stopped buying Arizona products. They stopped supporting Arizona teams. They forced the governor to recant in his position. He was a racist Republican, as I remember, and he had refused to celebrate Dr. King's birthday. He was the only state, I remember, to refuse to celebrate Dr. King's birthday as a holiday. And so they put national pressure on the state for him to recant his position. And I'm suggesting that if they're talking about cutting off funding, because if they can't get their way, then we can play in that same arena. We can boycott the Tennessee Titans. We can boycott the basketball team in Memphis and those companies that sponsor them. We can talking about cutting off the state taxes and boycott state taxes. We are not helpless. We just have to understand what power we do have. I think Nissan is down there. We can force Nissan to put pressure on state government. We can make it so uncomfortable for them that because they have a price to pay, that they will end up recanting in their arrogance, because now they're also at risk, and the institutions they so love are at risk. But I think we have to operate with that kind of playbook, because this is a national fight, and people will get involved in it.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, State Senator Rena Taylor, I think you've got to boycott. Boycotts are legitimate ways of fighting, and when these corporations feel it, just like, because that's how they function. They're transactional. If their bottom line gets impacted, boy, they respond. And I think that needs to happen, because if you're going to threaten to cut someone's locality, if you let them back on this floor, and here they're overturning the votes. Wait a minute, one moment. Is Noel still there, Devin? If he is, bring him up. But if not,
sorry, who?
Noel, our caller, if he's still there, please.
Yeah, he's still there.
Okay, Noel, what's going on your mind? What's on your mind?
Good morning, Ms. Jackson. How you doing?
It's great hearing your voice.
Yes, I think last year we spoke about, I called your show and spoke about this. It's a team. If you can't stop them voting, if you vote them in, find a way to take away the elected officials' power. You started with Ms. Mosley in Baltimore because she went after the police union in a Freddie Gray case. What's his name? Jim Jordan is subpoenaed. He sent a subpoena to Mr. Bragg in having to come before Congress. And in Georgia, the legislator is trying to take away Spanish Willis prosecutor discretion. So if black people are in power, we have to find a way to take away that power and tell them what we want them to do. So you send us who we want you to send us, not who you want to send. So if you don't send us the right people that's going to obey what we are going to do, we're going to defund the city of Memphis. So that's how that's been operating. I said that last year. It's starting to materialize now.
Okay, Dwight, you got some support for your actions. Let me go to Robert from Wisconsin. Robert, what's on your mind?
Good morning. I'm wondering about a lawsuit. So if we think of past instances in Tennessee where people have been expelled, one was for a legislator trying to pass another one a bribe. The other one was there were allegations of about 20 women for sexual assault against a man down there that was in the legislature. It seems to me that there's a major abuse of power here. They're trying to expel these folks. We've heard about when they're speaking on the floor, sometimes their mics are cut off as though these legislators are second-class citizens. I don't think the head of the organization down there should be able to expel them just because he doesn't agree with their views. It's not fair to the people they're representing. So my question is, can he be sued personally or the legislators involved to expel them, because it seems like he's taking away representation from these people in these other districts. Thank you.
Well, I mean, State Senator Lena Taylor, is this a basis for a lawsuit?
I think we have to try all things, using water, on a fire. I think is a really good message.
That was rich.
Right? Because they are using gasoline. And they are blowing up our democracy, blowing up rights all along the way. And we have to use everything that we possibly can use, from suing to boycotting to rallying to voting, you name it. And we have to support, you said it before, support those that are doing the work, and to also keep people informed. So I think that, Robert's point and others' point, are spot on. But I just want to say we got to use everything we got. Everything we got. Because the concept of the Constitution being open through the states' rights issues that they have, I forget how many states are at that place. Now Congress has been flipped.
To have an amendment, to have a constitutional convention?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the Constitutional Convention. Yes, ma'am. So they can open. I don't think people really understand.
I don't think they do.
Just literally all the pieces that are in place. But I want to give, a bit of encouragement in that when the power, because we don't have like 100% voting in the U.S., right? We're not even like Iraq that has 75%. So when we did vote in Wisconsin, we had elections, 12,000 votes, 25,000 votes, 24,000 votes, less than 30,000 votes difference in statewide races. Always been tight. In this race, voters that normally might not have come out, voters that might have been, independents, maybe even some Republicans, 11% double-digit difference in the Supreme Court race when abortion was put on the table, and literally the most expensive state Supreme Court race in the nation. Well, really, I think probably judicial race in the nation. Do everything.
Well, Patillo, you've got to boycott. That should be on the table. If they're threatening the county commission, because you know what, they don't feel the squeeze right now. That does not mean that somebody's not pulling out a dossier on somebody. Come on, everybody, we know how politics works. They squeeze you where you hurt. Doesn't mean that somebody is, and everybody's vulnerable. Everybody owes some money somewhere. Everybody's done something. Everybody has stuff. So let that go. That's why I think all this foolishness needs to be off the table, Lena. Because I'm so sick of hearing, so-and-so owes on their water bill. Oh, so-and-so slept with so-and-so. Please, haven't you? And if you haven't, what are you doing? Enough, Robert Patillo. Because somebody will get squeezed, and these young men will not get back into office. Or they'll put somebody else up. They've had the nerve to do this, Robert.
Well, what we've seen for the past decade or so is that Democrats have been severely on their back foot in these fights going forward. That whenever they get punched, they take a step back, and then they keep getting punched. They keep taking steps back until we're almost out the ring at this point in time. We're not just on the ropes; we're on the other side of the ropes, trying to get back into the fight. This is why we're seeing the supermajority for Republicans around the country. And now that a supermajority of people in Tennessee are Republicans, is that we've allowed them to organize in such a way, we've allowed them to redistrict in such a way that they've been able to consolidate power despite not having the population to justify such. We have to get back in the game in these elections, not just during presidential election cycles. I think that's what the clarion call that people understand. We have to stop just trying to let governors, senators, and presidents on the progressive side of the aisle. You need to be electing city council people. You got to elect county commissioners, aldermen, wardsmen, state representatives, state senators. You have to have a 50-state strategy, and you have to have a every race all the way up and down the ballot strategy, because that's the way that the other side runs. How the hell is it they have not won a popular vote in damn near 30 years, but they have constitutional majorities in many states around the country? How is it that their senators represent 41 million fewer senators than the Democratic senators, but yet still they are able to remove elected officials, remove Supreme Court justices, override vetoes? It's not about who has power, it's about how you wield that power. And we've seen the Democratic Party that has been frightened and has not had the capacity, that has been scared to use every mechanism of power and the power game of politics, and understanding that when you have any modicum of strength, you need to use that to push your agenda across the line, not to try to appease the other side. Democrats seem to run afraid that if people find out about what their agenda is, if people find out what they're trying to do, oh no, they're not going to like me anymore. Republicans run with the idea of, well, if we do things correctly, the other side won't have an opportunity to oppose me because their voices won't matter. We're seeing a slow-moving fascist coup take place in this country. They tried the decapitation strike on the Capitol on January 6th, where they simply tried to take out the government. When that didn't work, they went back to the slow and steady process of working state by state to reduce the influence of the people's vote and to increase the power of corporations, to increase the power of the entrenched bureaucracy, and to increase the power of those who are in political positions that allow them to dictate public policy to everybody else. So we're in the battle for our nation's very soul, as they said in Hamilton, and many of us have not figured out that the other side has already been fighting us for a decade.
But do we not understand? I mean, a state senator, Lena Taylor, just told us that, because you say this all the time, you and Robert Patillo, you all sound like you're conspiracy theorists, you sound like you're crazy. You say, wait a minute, these guys, my father often says, I just said it a few minutes ago, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, and these people do not plan to fail. They plan all the time. They take the long view. They are planning, they're on the precipice of a constitutional convention. I don't even know, we don't even know what that would be. I mean, how we'd handle that.
Because the one thing that this false sense of white superiority gives you is a sense of potency, that you can win. Whereas we have this inferiority complex, and for some reason we feel impotent, like we can't win. So we don't really even fight with everything we have available to fight with. When we had Breadbasket, is one of the things that we discovered through Ed Reddick is that the average business operated with a 5% profit margin, which meant that if we could turn 5 out of every 100 people away from a business, we could close that business down. Mm-hmm. And so even a little guy like me who had store responsible for closing down A&P, if I could I was a picket captain in high school, and if I could turn 5 of my neighbors around for every 100 that went in that store, I by myself with 2 or 3 other people could close down that store, and we did. That's how we got into the fight.
Let me close down a whole chain of stores, Dwight.
A whole chain of stores. We closed down A&P. We closed down Red Rooster. We closed down all of those stores that were selling bad meat. But with great intention, because all we had to do was turn 5 people around for every 100 people that went in the store. And so that's why I said we can boycott the Titans and have them feel the pain. And so we don't have to deal with the state legislators. They will. They will call the state legislators and say, what are you all doing here? if we deal with close down, look to boycott 5% of those that's going into the Timberwolves or whatever, the Grizzlies, the Grizzlies, then we don't have to call the state legislature, do Nashville in Memphis. They will make those calls. If we start talking about boycotting Nissan, they will call the local senator and say, "What is the hell you are doing here?"
Wait.
You all
Dwight.
got us in.
And the local senator will respond.
Has no choice but to respond, because ultimately that's where they're looking to get their donations from. But we can't have a sense of impotency, and we can't believe that for some reason that these guys got power and control that we don't have. Ultimately, the power was always in the people. And so if you take just those young white kids that was outside of the Capitol talking about, that was picketed in behalf of the young black legislators, just those kids, and say, oh, to the Bastille, that, hey, y'all, we're not supporting any company that supports these legislators, you will see a radical change in behavior, because the economy is integrated, which means it's vulnerable at every level. And so you don't have to fight this fight by yourself. And that's why I think these our young guys, Kyle's them, who I love dearly, were too young to remember that the way we turned Arizona around was we decided to boycott the state. And so those businesses themselves called the governor and say, "What are you doing?" Then the next thing you know, they were singing,
"We shall overcome."
We shall overcome, and happy birthday, Stevie Wonder's
Happy birthday to you,
Dr. King, in the state legislators.
If I can help somebody. I'm precious. Wait, let me bring up Dr. King's favorite songs, all of them. Well, what else did he like, y'all? You know they'll come over to you and do that. State Senator Lena Taylor, I've got two. Well, you know what? I'm going to give 1 minute to Robert Patillo, and then the final 2 minutes to you. Robert Patillo, you know we have to, Devin, you got to pay attention and just keep your finger on that mute button whenever Dwight comes on, because I don't know what he's going to say. Robert Patillo, 1 minute for you.
I think we have to look at what's going on and see this as part of a bigger, slow-moving fascist coup going on in this country. If you look at the historical models, historical precedents, when people storm the Capitol, they don't usually just go home and say, oops, it didn't work. I guess I'm going to give up now. They just go back and figure out how to attack a different way. Now they're understanding that the capitation strike won't work, so we need to go back and work our way through these state legislatures and establish white supremacy there, because if we can't do it at the national level. We're seeing this in Tennessee, we're seeing it in Wisconsin, we're seeing it in North Carolina, we're seeing it in Texas. All these go towards this macro issue, taking power away from the federal government and investing it in unelected officials around the country. We need to monitor it. We have to stop it in its tracks before it gets out of hand.
The final 2 minutes belong to you, Wisconsin State Senator Lena Taylor.
I think everyone has said it. You need to be able to be vigilant. We have to be engaged in multiple different ways. Send something to help the legislators, the Justins. They have campaign accounts. Look them up and send something to donate through Act Blue or whatever mechanisms they have. It's important for you to be engaged and look at legislation that is happening. Ask your local legislative bodies to do resolutions to say that they do not support what has happened in Tennessee, because it's coming to a state near you. It's already in some states, as it's been stated already. And lastly, it is really important for you to pay attention to these judicial races. Often judges run unopposed. Go and sit in the court and look at their courtside manner and make sure you understand what they're doing, because those are places that we're going to end up fighting some of these battles also. But do all that you can. Reverend Jackson said something to me when we were said, people don't drown because the water was deep. They drown because they stopped kicking.
You said that. When you stop fighting, when you stop trying, that's when you drown. If you don't run, if you run, you might lose, but if you don't run, you're guaranteed to lose. That's why we need you at our conference, Dwight, July 15th through the 19th. It will not work without you. Freedom is not free, and freedom is not just delivered to you. You must fight for your own freedom. Dwight, the last minute belongs to you because we need people to come to this conference.
Is that the only thing that beats a plan is a better plan. And we don't have a plan. We need a better plan than them. The only thing that beats a plan is a better plan.
That's right. So I know you'll be at the convention. Of course you will.
I will.
Helping to lead some sessions, as will Robert Patillo, as will State Senator Lena Taylor, because we have to engage in voter education, and we have to teach organizers and activists how to be activists and how to organize. This land is made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. I mean, this land is made for you and me. America exists because we exist, and we're the ones who make America exist. You've got to make this thing happen, everybody. You got to vote. You have an obligation to vote, and when you vote, great things happen. Great things happen. So, everybody, please come to the Rainbow Push Convention, July 15th through the 19th. I'm going to be celebrating my birthday in the middle of all of that, but in the meantime, we got the pushers on. There's work for us to do. Paint and Sip on Saturday. Please join us at Push. We're raising money, keeping the doors open. Help Push as Push seeks to help you. Join the National Action Network. Join the NAACP. Join the Urban League. Join now. Join these organizations. They lobby for you. People keep talking about K Street and all the lobbyists. Well, these are your lobbyists. Help them help you. Freedom is not free, and guess what? Pharaoh ain't gonna free you. You gonna free you. All right, everybody. I love you. Can't wait to be with you tomorrow on the Santita Jackson Show. Devin, thank you for a great show. Love ya. Well, I mean, it's true. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to say while we're on Facebook Live before we go? State Senator Taylor, Dwight, okay.
One of the things that how God used Moses to free the the Jews, the Egyptians, is that he had to build in pain for Pharaoh. Is that Pharaoh had to feel the effects of his behavior. And so the plagues were directed at Pharaoh. We just need to organize enough plagues for these guys that they'll be saying, let my people go. Because you have to raise the ante so that they feel the pain, as opposed to just the Egyptians feeling the pain.
Robert Patillo, do you have anything you'd like to say before we go? Okay. State Senator Taylor, do you have anything you'd like to say before you go?
I think we've said it all. Let's stay vigilant. Let's stay involved, everybody.
All right, everybody. Amen. I love you. Get involved, get involved, get involved. And how can we contribute to your campaign? Because you know you're always running.
Go LenaTaylor.com.
Okay. Always put that out there whenever you're on the show, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you are raising money all the time. And and our raising money for her keeps her free so that she can fight, not just for us, fight for us, not just in Wisconsin, but everywhere. She will run for office, and as she runs for office, and one day you're going to mess around and get one of these other offices, and you better watch it. Guess what? It keeps her free enough, it keeps her tongue free enough, it keeps her free enough to make the case for us. You've got to keep the people who speak for you free, and the only way you keep them free is to give them the money so that they can be that. There's an old expression, Dwight, that the freest, richest black man in America is still a preacher, black preacher, because black folks pay him. It's no accident that Reverend Jackson ran for president and completely changed American politics and, quite frankly, world politics as we know it. Because The people drafted him, and they paid him to do it. They didn't pay him, but they paid for the campaign. We passed around Kentucky Fried Chicken buckets and had no money. I remember they used to write about it in Time magazine and The Economist and everything in Newsweek. They said this is the most disorganized campaign in history. We have staff jumping in the cabs with the media, with the corporate media, because they don't have enough money to pay for the cab. But guess what? If we didn't have the campaign, they wouldn't have anything to write about. You're right, we didn't have any money. But you know what? We had the people. And out of those 7 or 8 people who were running, the last 3 among them was Jesse Jackson. That's you. That's you. Freedom is not free, and we have to get into the mindset. Do not expect a corporation to pay for your freedom. They're not interested in it. Corporations are what put you in slavery in the first place. Corporations are what put you, white people, in indentured servitude in the first place. They're not interested in that. They're not interested in freeing you. The people are interested. You got to be interested in freeing yourself. And you can do it.
That part.
That part. Huh? Those facts? Huh? Yeah. You're the one, and you have to believe and know that not only can you be free, but you need to know that you deserve to be free. And I say that to everybody, not just black people, because when black people are not free, white folks ain't free, indigenous people ain't free, nobody's free. Nobody. Nobody. White people are impacted by white superiority. If you don't believe it, ask all those people who had those opioids dumped on them in Appalachia, who are walking around with no teeth and completely halved life expectancies, at least. People are sent down to the coal mines every day. Complete disregard for their health. This is about the corporatocracy jamming all of us. And you ought to be sick of it. You got to do something different if you want a different result. Everybody's excited about Brandon Johnson as if he's got some magical powers. He does not have magical powers. He's the same guy who was polling at 2% last year this time. What changed was your mind, not him. You changed. Now you need to meet him down at City Hall and make him do what you send him to do. It doesn't mean you don't like him. You didn't do that with Obama, and you got those results. You didn't get anything. It was not all his fault. There were a whole lot of folks who were telling us to shut up, be quiet. You told Tavis to shut up, be quiet. Killed his platform. You told Cornell to shut up, be quiet. Killed his platform while they're making the argument for you. Well, they're saying, hey, we're getting shortchanged here. Everybody's getting something but us. Don't ever let that happen again. Ever. Have enough regard for yourself to fight for yourself. Do it today. Remember that song, Dwight? Why not? Do it today. Who used to sing that, Dwight? Wasn't that Vicky? Do it today. Come on. And you fight. You fight. You fight, and you just take care of yourself. Nobody's going to give this to you. You must do it for yourself. You are somebody. You must keep hope alive. You must do it. You are not going to get to freedom on Pharaoh's chariot. They ain't going to do it for you. It's not in their interest to have you free. Who doesn't want to work or who they don't pay? We didn't work for free. Black people didn't work for free. We were never paid. And every time we tried to get up, the first time you dropped the bomb in the United States history, they dropped the bomb on us, literally, on black people. Every time we tried to get up, you ended up making an indigenous nation the wealthiest group of people in the world. Killed that. Aren't you tired of thwarting people's hopes and dreams? I mean, really? Now America's in real trouble. Real trouble. We talked about de-dollarization last week. Do not write that off. That is happening as we speak. Dwight, is that not true? Dwight might have gone on. It's happening as we speak. Other people are moving to other currencies. That's going to change how we live. That's going to change the standard of living of every American. Think, everybody. Sarah Jordan Powell did, but we used to sing it at Push every Saturday. And I think it was Ricky Johnson who sang that they sang it every Saturday. Why not do it today? Thank you, Stanley. So think about that, everybody. Think about it. Get on out here, and I want to see you at the convention, July 15th through the 19th. Meet Stanley over there because he's going to open the doors. But get on over there and get over to the paint and sip on Saturday. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. I'm not going to be able to stay long because I got to work on Sunday, so I'm always working on Saturday. But I love you all. I can't wait to be with you tomorrow, Lord willing. Hallelujah. Can't wait to be with you on the Santita Jackson Show tomorrow. Everybody like and share, like and share, like and share. Stanley, get people on over to the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel and like and share, like and share. I love you. 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 And love my brothers and sisters from Sao Paulo, Brazil who tuned in today. Love you. God bless. Bye-bye.